Hello everyone and welcome back to Scholars. I'm Gaurav. I'm here to take you through the ancient history for your civil services examination. So let's get on with our next topic, the later Vedic age. So we discussed in the previous lecture that the Vedic age was divided in two parts. Early Vedic age spanning from 1500 BC to 1000 BC and later Vedic age spanning between 1000 BC to 600 BC. So, in the previous lectures, we discussed about the social, political, and religious aspects and the development which took place in the Rigvedic era. Now we'll look at the social, political, and religious aspects and development in all the three phases that took place in the later Vedic age. So let's continue. Now, the history of later Vedic age is based upon Vedic texts. We know that we have traced the history of early Vedic age totally from Rigveda. But the history of later Vedic age is traced from other three Vedas. What are these other three Vedas? Samved, Yajurved and Atharvaved. That is, the history of later Vedic age is not traced from Rig Veda. Rig Veda was used to trace the history of early Vedic age. Now, the Aryans moved further towards the east in later Vedic period. How do we get to know about this? The Satapat Brahman refers to the expansion of Aryans to the eastern Gangetic plain, and this Satapat Brahman was part of Yajurveda. One of the most important development during this period is the growth of larger kingdoms. So now the larger kingdoms came into being. Kuru and Panchal kingdom flourished in the beginning. We know that Kuru was amalgamation of Bharata and Kuru. Now, and the new one is Panchal. Parikshit and Janmejaya were the famous ruler of Kuru kingdom. Parivana Jaywali was a popular king of Panchala. So Parikshit and Janmejaya were the rulers of Kuru and Parivana Jaywali was the popular king of Panchala. Now the later Vedic text refers to the three divisions of India. They are Aryavarta, that is northern India, Madhya Desa, that is central India, and Dakshinapad, that is southern India. So if anywhere these terms appear like Aryavarta, you can make sense that it means northern India. So I hope everything is clear up till now. Let's move on. Now let's look at the political organizations and the development that took place in the later Vedic age. Larger kingdoms formed during the later Vedic age. So we know that in the Rig Veda, the territory was not defined. In the later Vedic era, many Jans or tribes amalgamated to form Janpad or Rashtra. Now the concept of Rashtra or the philosophy of Rashtra came into being. That is, now the territory of an area was decided. That is, the area on which the king has their rule was decided. The territory was named after the dominant tribe, though the tribe was ruled by chief or prince. Other tribes might be inhabited in that territory like minorities. So written in lucid language is nothing to explain. Let's move on. Now hence, with the concept of Rashtra coming into prominence, the royal power increased along with the increase in size of kingdoms. So now since the area of the kingdom increased, king has more land from which he can collect taxes, which in turn increase the power of the king. King also used to perform various rituals and sacrifices to strengthen his position. They include Rajasuya, that is consecration ceremony, Ashwamedh, horse sacrifice, and Vajpaya, that chariot race. Now, another most important thing that we need to focus is in Rig Veda, cattle was used as a means to measure wealth. But now, territory or the land became important, and that is why we say that king's power increased with increase in area of the territory. If it would have been Rig Veda, we would have said that king's power increased with the amount of cattle that king had. So I hope everything is clear. Let's move on. In the later Vedic age, large number of new officials were involved in the administration. Apart from those in the Rig Vedic era, they were Purohit, Senani and Gramini. Now the new officers that were included are the treasury officer, tax collector, royal messenger. Now Bagadood, this was the officer who used to collect taxes. Sarthi, he was the royal charioteer, and Khastri, he was the chamberlain. Taxes were deposited with an officer known as Sangrihitri. Now, Bagadood used to collect the tax and he used to deposit this tax with Sangrihitri. He was the royal treasurer. At lower level, the administration was carried out by village assemblies and local cases were also tried by them. So, let's just take a quick recap. Larger kingdoms came into being in later Vedic period. The concept of Rashtra came into prominence. Now the territory was named after the dominant tribe. Royal power along with increase in the area. Now the king was able to take taxes or collect taxes from larger area. The king performed various rituals and sacrifices to strengthen his position. They were Rajasuya, Ashwamedh and Vajpayee. Large number of new officials were involved in the administration. They include Bagadood. He was the collector of taxes. Sarthi the charioteer. and Khastriya the chamberlain. Now the tax collected by Bagadud were deposited with Sangrihitri. He was the treasurer. At the lower level, administration was carried on by village assembly and local cases were tried by them. Now look at the assemblies. What happened to those 4 assemblies we studied about in Rigveda? Rigvedic time assemblies lost their importance. Vidhata completely disappeared. Now the royal power increased at the cost of these assemblies. We read about how these assemblies used to keep a check on the arbitrary power of the kings. Now with the diminished importance of these assemblies in later Vedic era, the royal power increased. Sabha and Samiti were dominated by chiefs and rich nobles. Sabha was dominated by nobles and Brahmins only, and the women were not allowed now. Now we knew that in Rig Veda, women were allowed to attend all these assemblies. Now women lost these rights in later Vedic period. Now with the hereditary position of the king, rule of succession came into being. Now initially the rule of primogeniture was followed. That is, the firstborn of the king used to be the next king. But it was not always followed. How do we come to know about this? We come to know about this from Mahabharata, in which Duryodhan surpassed his elder brothers, that is the Pandavas, to usurp the throne, and hence kingship knows no kinship. So I hope everything is clear. Let's move forward. Army. Even in this period, the king doesn't have a standing army, just like the Vedic times. The tribal units used to muster when war was declared, that is only when required. That was not a standing army. In case of war, the tribal units used to muster and they used to form an army. According to one ritual, king has to eat with his people from the same plate during the time of war. Now this is just a representation of a good leadership quality, and that is a good ritual that the king used to follow. So let's move on and look at the social organizations in the Rigvedic age. Now the fourfold division of the society, that is the Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, or the Varna system, was thoroughly established during later Vedic period. That is, it was practiced throughout the length and breadth and nooks and corners of the Rashtra. The two higher classes, Brahman and Kshatriya, enjoyed privileges that were denied to Vaishya and Shudra. Brahman occupied higher position than Kshatriya, but sometimes Kshatriya claim a higher status over Brahman. This shows the tussle between the upper two classes. Many subcastes based on the occupation appeared in this period. We know that the Varna system was based on occupation or the vocation practiced by individuals. So many subcastes appeared on, and what was the basis of these subcastes? It was occupation. The upper three Varnas were entitled to Upanyana or investiture with sacred thread according to the Vedic mantras, while the fourth one, the Shudra, was deprived of it. They were also deprived from reciting Gayatri mantra, that is the Vedic education. This is a very important point. Let's go through it once again. So the upper three Varnas were entitled to Upanyana or investiture with sacred thread. This is known as Janev. They were entitled for wearing Janev or Munj, which were denied to the fourth class, that was the Shudra, and they were also deprived from from recitation of Gayatri mantra. Let's move on. Now the Brahmins, the priests, scholars or teachers, this was the vocation that the Brahmins used to practice. Now growing cult of sacrifices increased their importance in society. Now in later Vedic period, there were cult for every occasion. They used to start everything with puja, and that is why their importance increased in later Vedic period. Work. They used to conduct ritual sacrifices, as we all know. Officiating festival associated with agricultural operation, that is, in the beginning of agriculture, they used to perform some yajnas and rituals so that they can have a good harvest. Praying for success of war in their patron is still continued as it was in Rig Veda. That practice is still followed in later Vedic period. Kshatriya, they were the rulers, warriors and administrators. They tried to assert their power over all the other three Varnas since they were kings and administrators. This is we expect from them since the form of government was monarchy. Sometimes the upper two Varna fought for supremacy, as we read in the previous slide that there was a tussle between Brahman and Shudra. But when it comes to dealing with the lower Varnas, the two united. Vaishya, they were assigned the task of producing agriculture or carrying out functions like agriculture, trade and breeding. During the end of later Vedic period, Vaishya started trade activities and they primarily became a trading community. Now they were utmost important because they were the main taxpayers. The Brahmins and Kshatriyas were the tax collectors and they used to collect taxes from the Vaishyas. Since they were a trading community, they used to earn money and pay a hefty amount as tax to the Brahmans and Kshatriyas. Shudra were laborers and service providers. They were meant for serving three higher Varnas and were barred from Vedic studies. As we read in the last slide, they were forbidden from reciting Gayatri Mantra. The lower the Varna, the more severe the punishment. That is, for the same crime committed by a Brahman and a Shudra, the punishment for Shudra was more severe than that to Brahmana. So let's move on. Family, the power of the father increased during the later Vedic period. The status of women degraded. As we read that women were not allowed to attend the assemblies from the later Vedic period, this made their position worse. Now, the institution of Gotra can be traced back to Rigvedic time. Now, what is this Gotra? This used to be the place where the cattle belonging to the whole clan were kept. But in course of time, it signified descent from a common ancestor. That is, those residing in same place used to have same Gotra, and marrying within the same Gotra was forbidden, and this practice is even continued till today. Child marriage has become common in the later Vedic period. It was not prevalent in early Vedic, but it came into being in later Vedic period. Let's just take a quick recap of what we have studied in social organizations. Subcastes appear in the basis of occupation. Now, there was tussle between the upper two castes, that is Brahmana and Kshatriya, which has the higher status. But when it came to dealing with the lower caste, they both united. The investiture ceremony or the Upanyana, the Munj or Janev, it was allowed for the upper three castes. The lower one was forbidden from it or deprived of it. They were also deprived of Vedic studies. Who? Shudras. Now the growing cult of sacrifices increased. This resulted in increased prominence or increase in status of the Brahman. Kshatriya, they tried to assert their power over all the other three Varnas. They were the rulers, warriors and administrators. Vaishya, they were the main taxpayers. They started the trade activities in later Vedic period, and they used to pay taxes to Brahman and Kshatriya. Shudra were the laborers or the service providers. The lower the Varna, the more stringent the punishment. That is, for a same crime committed by Brahman and Shudra, the punishment for Shudras were more severe than that to Brahmana. Now, in the family, the power of father increased. We know that the status of women degraded. They were not allowed to attend political assemblies. So this in turn degraded their status, and with degrade in their status, it automatically increased the power of men in the society. Institution of Gotra can be traced back to Vedic times. Gotra used to be a place where the cattle of the whole clan were kept, but in course of time, it signified descent from a common place, and marriage within the same Gotra was forbidden, and this practice is followed till today. Child marriage has become common. It was not in vogue in Rigvedic era, but it came into being in later Vedic age. Let's look at the religious aspect of the later Vedic age. The god of early Vedic period like Indra and Agni lost their importance. New god, they were Prajapati, the creator, Vishnu, the protector, and Rudra, the destroyer, came into prominence in the later Vedic age. The sacrifices were still important and rituals connected to them became more elaborate. As we read in the previous slide, that the status of Brahmana became more important because of increase in the sacrifices or rituals. So the rituals and sacrifices became more elaborate and more important. The importance of prayer declined and that of sacrifices increased. The priesthood became a profession and a hereditary one. The formula of sacrifice was invented and elaborated by the priestly class. That is, the priestly class was solely responsible for inventing the new prayers, inventing the new sacrifices, and elaborating the old ones. And that is why, see, the power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Now, since the Brahman were the only one to invent new sacrifices and elaborate the old ones, it was bound to get corrupt. And this is what happened. We'll learn about it. The Brahmins had a very big role in inventing, modifying and expanding formulas and sacrifices. The Brahman claimed monopoly of priestly knowledge and expertise. They received a huge donation because they used to perform all these rituals and sacrifices in return of donations. These donations were not defined that for performing Ashwamedh Yagya we'll take this much of land, but the king used to be very generous and pay them huge donations. During the end of later Vedic age, there was strong reaction against the priestly domination, cults and rituals. So now the subjects became aware of the dogmas that the Hindu religion was suffering from, and the rise of Jainism and Buddhism was the result of this practice. they came into prominence because they were against these rituals and sacrifices and cults that these Brahmins used to perform. Also, the author of Upanishad, in which the essence of Hindu philosophy is mentioned, turned away from these useless rituals and insisted on true knowledge, Gyan, that is for peace and salvation. So let's take a quick recap of religion. The early god vanished, that is the Indra and Agni lost their importance. New gods came into prominence. They were Prajapati, the creator, Vishnu the protector, and Rudra the destroyer. Now, the sacrifices were still important and the ritual connected to them became more elaborate. Importance of prayer declined and that of sacrifices increased. Priesthood became a profession and a hereditary one. Brahman had a big role in inventing, modifying and expanding sacrifices. Now, Brahmins claimed the monopoly of the priestly knowledge, that is, they claimed that they were the only one who knew about these cults and rituals, and that is why it was their monopoly. During the end of later Vedic period, there was strong reaction because this priestly class was being corrupt. Not all, but some of them were corrupt, and that is why this strong reaction from the other caste. Rise of Buddhism and Jainism was a direct result of these elaborate rituals. Upanishad, which is the essence of Hindu philosophy, turned away from useless rituals, insisted on true knowledge for peace and salvation. Now let's take a look at the iron and the use of iron in later Vedic age. Now, as we discussed, the Rigvedic people were aware of iron, but the widespread and the extensive use of iron began in later Vedic period. The jungles could be cleared with ease now. The iron was in use. This enabled the Vedic Aryans to settle in the western Gangatic plains. So we studied that the Satapat Brahman mentions about the expansion of Aryan in the eastern Gangatic plains. Now, how it was possible? It was made possible by the use of iron. Now, the traces of iron can be found from the burials. That is, those who were dead were buried with iron implements, and that is why we can say that iron was extensively used in later Vedic period. So now we look at the use of iron in the later Vedic age. Now, we knew that the people of Rig Veda were aware of iron, but its extensive and widespread use started in later Vedic period. The iron was used to clear jungles, and with the use of iron, they were able to expand to the western Gangatic plains. Now, how do we come to know that they were using iron extensively? We have found burials, that is the graves, with iron implements. Iron was used in spearhead, it was used to clear forests. It was also used in wars. That is used to make arms that were used in war. Now look at the agriculture that the later Vedic people used to follow. It was the chief means of livelihood. That is, from cattle rearing or being pastoral community, the community moved to being agriculture. But still, few agricultural tools made up of iron have been found. That is, though the agriculture was practiced, the agricultural tool made up of irons were less in number. Plowing was done with wooden plowshare, which would have been very easy because of the light soil of upper Gangatic plains. But in later times, plowing was restricted to lower Varna. That is, see, in the earlier times, all of the Varnas were involved in agricultural practice because it was exclusive. But when the practice of agriculture became common, they forced this lower Varna to become agricultural laborers and upper caste restricted from working in agricultural fields. Now, what do they used to produce? They used to produce wheat, barley, rice and lentil. Wheat and rice became chief crop in this period. Rice was known as brihi. So let's go through it once again. The iron was extensively used. How do we come to know about that? Because the iron implement has found from burials. Iron was used to make arms, ammunition, that is the arrowheads and spearheads. Now they used these iron implements in war, so they became victorious and they were able to expand. Iron was also used in clearing forest. The chief means of livelihood became agriculture, so they moved from being pastoral to agricultural community. But the tools made up of irons for agriculture were less in number. Wooden plowshare was used, and it was easy to use wooden plowshare because the light texture of soil in the upper Gangatic plains. Now, in the beginning, agriculture was practiced by all four Varnas because it was exclusive, but when it became common, the agricultural practice was restricted to the Shudras, that is, they became labor class. And they used to work as agricultural labor on the fields. Wheat, barley, rice and lentil were the chief crop produced. Wheat and rice became the chief crop, and rice was known as vrihi. So let's just take a look at the summary. In later Vedic period, the territorial kingdom started emerging. That is, the concept of Rashtra and defined territories came into being. Now, the kingdoms fought war not for the possession of cattle as it was done in Rig Veda, but for territories, that is land. The famous Mahabharata took place during this period. It was between Kauravas and Pandavas, that both of them belonged to Kurus or Kauravas. The early Vedic society was predominated by pastoralists. This changed to agriculturalists in later Vedic age. Now, the tribe chief grew at the expense of tribute paid by peasants and other sections. We now know that Vaishya community started practicing trade and they used to pay taxes to king and Brahmans, that is the Kshatriyas and Brahmans. Shudra were still small serving order, that is they used to involved in day-to-day labor activities. Now it was tribal society but was divided on the basis of Varna, which was on the basis of vocation or the occupation practiced by people. A state cannot exist without a regular taxation system and a professional army. This wasn't the case in Vedic period. There was not a professional army, but the agriculture produce were in surplus and which were used to pay taxes. So I hope every point is clear up till now. That's it from my side. For more such videos, log on to Scholars. Thank you.